Hi everyone. So today's video, the subject is actually such that I wondered if I should have written about it on Thursday because it's a little bit of a struggle, but it's kind of a joyful one. So I suppose it still fit a Saturday. So it's basically recently, last week, I've noticed I was doing something I promised myself I wouldn't, which is I kept rescuing Ollie whenever he made a sound. Like he's easily frustrated. He's like me, zero patience, low tolerance for frustration. It took me years and years and years to manage my impatience and frustration, and I still fail almost daily. I still scream at a computer and lose it with people internally, not necessarily on the outside. Actually, most often I lose it with myself. I'm still pretty impatient. So to expect him to be any different would be a bit unfair. I mean, he is my blood. He's got my genes. His dad is not particularly patient either, so bless him. And I promised myself before even he was born that I would let him to discover the world, to learn, and I would not be over interfering and be helicopter mom. And it was the other day that what happened basically is that Ollie, I was cooking in the kitchen and I was having the oven on and stuff, so I didn't want him anywhere around me, so I put him in a playpen in a sitting room, and I can still see into the playpen from the kitchen. And he was playing, and then he screamed in frustration, screamed again, but I was handling the hot food, so I couldn't just run to him and pick him up and help him with whatever was going on. I looked at him and he was lying on the floor, his feet, hands in the air like a little beetle. It's quite cute actually. Making his frustrated screams, and then I was like, well, I just called to him, Ollie, I'll be there in a minute. Not that he understands time, but just to hear my voice and know I'm around. And I was trying to sort out my food, and suddenly there was silence, quiet, like So I looked up and he was sitting contently playing, very joyful, gleeful expression on his face. And he looked out at me with this massive smile on his face, like, look, Mom, I've done it. And it's basically the first time he sat up by himself. Before that, he would scream, I would pick him up, sat him on his bum, and he would continue playing. And it kind of became like a ritual. He would fall over, he scream, I pick him up, and I obviously don't let him cry, that's different, but with these frustrated screams, I kind of realized that I was rushing to his aid too quickly, that I did not let him to problem solve and to figure things out for himself, and that he was therefore be too reliant on me. And then the moment he couldn't rely on me, he figured it out, and of course he was also physically ready and all that, but still I felt that if I interfere too much, I slow down his progress, if not stop it completely. And since then, it's literally this week, what I've been doing is that when he gets frustrated, I just like take a deep breath and just observe him and see what he does. I promise 80% of the time he just figures it out. He might make a couple more disgruntled sounds, but he figures it out. If I feel that he struggles a bit, I might offer verbal encouragement, so I still keep my distance, but I will talk to him and say, Ollie, you can do it, come to me, or if he's trying to crawl, or you can sit up, you've done it before, and I just talk to him in kind of quite upbeat tones, and he looks at me with a big smile, and he does it, he figures it out. I suppose it just reassures him. And then there are times, about 10% of the time, when he's just maybe too tired, overwhelmed, and there's just a little switch when it goes from frustration to upset. And I can feel it. I can hear it in a sound. I can hear it in a cry. I can see it in him, in his body language. Something switches and it's no longer, oh, I'm just frustrated, this is, I need you right now. And that's where I step in, and that's when I interfere, that's where I help. And he usually quietens straight away as I hold him in my arms, but then he doesn't want to go back to what he was doing. So that just shows me that I was right, he had enough, and he just needed a bit of comfort. So that's been really interesting learning for me. What was also interesting is how my controlling habits kind of creeped in, disguised as caring, as, oh, I care about him, of course I want to help him, but actually it was, I want to control you to manage my own anxiety, and that's not fair. That's not fair on him. My anxiety is my problem, and it shouldn't be something, a burden that Ollie has to bear, that affects him in negative ways. So it's great because now it's in my awareness. I can deal with it better, more effectively. If I feel anxious, I can use breathing exercises and tools that I have. I can speak to my therapist, but I no longer need to put it on him, or be too controlling, too restrictive, to manage my own anxiety, because that shouldn't be his problem. I'm not talking about obviously dangerous situations, like if he's climbing towards wires or radiators or fans that could top over or whatever, then of course I'll stop him and redirect him. But if he's in a safe environment and he's fine, just leave him to it. It's okay, and that way he learns to trust himself. And actually, this past week I realized I'm learning to trust him as well. So we both learning to trust him, that he can do it, that he can, what's within his capability at this age, because of course, the progress is not that fast, and it's slowly but surely he will be capable more and more on physical, emotional, mental level. But I've got to be aware, educate myself, and I do that. I read lots of books on this subject to educate myself on what's appropriate for his age, so I don't push him too hard, but also don't underestimate him, that I'm allowing him to fulfill his full potential for his age, until he moves on to the next stage and so forth. So yeah, that's been quite interesting learning experience for myself, and I'm quite looking forward to see how that's gonna go, and how I will manage from now on. Have you had similar struggles with your children? Did you find yourself doing helicopter mom although you didn't want to, or have you had issues with your anxiety perhaps? Did you find yourself to be controlling when you promised yourself you wouldn't be? How did you deal with it? What did you do? What were your strategies? It's just really interested to hear how other people deal with this stuff. All right, speak to you soon.